Hi guys, and welcome to another installment of OCK Draws. Today we're going to be talking about drawing skin. Now, one of the things about human skin or any form of flesh painting, it's a lot more complicated than you think, and trying to show up how there are different layers to the skin is actually kind of challenging. I'm by no means perfect at it, but I do try my best. And in today's video, we're going to check out how I do it. And I'll give you a little bit of a walkthrough. This is a simple Procreate time lapse, which it auto generates, which is absolutely lovely. And I hope you guys enjoy the fun. Another thing I have to mention is brushes, guys. Go online, find artists who create and develop their own brushes. There are some fantastic brushes out there. I don't make brushes myself yet, but I can definitely vouch for a couple of artists out there. This is not a paid promotion, so I won't be giving names, but I am using some of their high quality brushes at the moment. The line art just has a little more life and quality to it because the brushes react very nicely, and there's a bit more life to it. Now, as you can see, I'm putting down the first base layer of the skin itself, trying to get a good flesh tone going. Another feature that I think is incredibly important to take advantage of is the palette generator in Procreate, where you can pull a reference picture in from whatever source you want, and it will automatically generate a color palette from that image for you, giving you variations and hues of color that you would probably miss if you are trying to source color from a piece of reference yourself. In this version, because I'm doing two different ones, what I've done is I've put the base tone down, and I'm now working with a relatively dark flesh tone over that to create some three-dimensionality, and I'm using the blending capability of this brush set to good advantage, trying to create a very nice, smooth, gradiated effect. And it does render quite nicely. So I'm definitely pleased with the effect that I'm getting. She almost looks a little bit sort of sun-kissed and browned in her, adventurous bikini. Remember, always work from reference. It's not about directly copying what the picture is, or directly copying the picture itself. It's more about just finding the feel of it, looking at a specific body part that you want to render effectively, and focusing on that, and moving on to a different reference or source of reference when you're ready for the next piece that you want to fill in or create detail for. This kind of will always give you a more lifelike and more three-dimensional appearance when it comes to your images and illustration. And of course, consistency and practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So I've done most of the base shading on the character, and she looks a little bit matte, and we want to give her a slightly more glossy appearance. There are certain aspects of her skin that you want to have be a little bit more reflective. If you looked carefully as well beforehand, I added some pink or pinkish hues to her flesh tone to kind of give the underlying impression of blood vessels. And while I'm putting on the highlights, all of a sudden you can actually see that warmer color coming through. So here we have our very nicely sun-kissed elf. Remember, pop the highlights where you want to show three-dimensionality: the nose, the lips, the cheekbones, the muscles on the neck, shoulders, her pecs, also her breasts. You can also see here very nicely highlighted is her bicep. And it's simply just by adding a few strokes of a very light white color and then blending it in a little bit to give it that smooth effect. You can also see I'm filling in the hair as well. I will do a separate tutorial on how to color hair. It's a very basic cartoon style or even anime style hairdo that we're doing here with the reflective qualities punching in. It's much similar to the skin itself, but there are certain differences when it comes to not blending in the strokes too much, creating the fibers of the hair, or at least the appearance thereof. Yeah, I think this version's turned out quite nicely, and we're just sort of, as you can see, I'm kind of just finishing it off. And yeah, this is basic, for me, basic cartoon style skin shading. And this is the first version of it. The next one I'm going to do, I want to make it seem a little bit softer. All right, so yeah. Shading practice, boys and girls. If you like it, please remember to like, share, subscribe. It helps us build the channel, and it's loads of fun. I've gone for a different option here with regards to the line art of the character. I'm using a very solid inking brush, and it has been manipulated so it is incredibly smooth and creates really nice comic art style lines, and it's kind of easy to do your color layers. So once again, doing the base layer of the skin and all of the others, I'm also working from a relatively light color, and I'll be bringing in the detail with darker shading. Now, I've taken a lot more trouble on this image to keep the shading super soft so that we can create a very fine skin texture or feeling. It also kind of lets the lighting of the character feel a lot softer and a lot less stark when it comes to the way a light would reflect or be absorbed by the skin itself. So yep, once again, working through it, creating that three-dimensionality on the first layer. We'll be doing a few more layers of color development on this character to show you all of the different options that you actually have when it comes to rendering and developing skin texture. So this is quite flat, but it's already shaping up to look really nice, I think. But then again, what do I know? Clearly, you can now observe we're going for another pass of a slightly darker tone. All related, it's on the same color palette of the same actual model that are used. So they match really nicely and they work together, but you can do whatever you want to at the end of the day. This is, once again, a simple example of basic one-point lighting. I'm not really putting a backlight or anything huge in there right now. And then here you can see the third pass, pumping a little more depth into the character's skin tone. Now, I'm going to show you a few things. After this, you'll see I will be adding that pink just to create that translucency of the skin, to give the feeling of the blood underneath, the flesh underneath the skin. And lastly, I'm once again pushing a few more highlights. I'm blending it a lot more as well, and the highlights themselves are not so punchy. They don't really push so much, so she looks a little bit more glowy, so to speak. So this is what we've got for the time being. I think she's worked out really nicely with regards to her skin. You can also now see that I'm rendering the leather in a very similar way to what you would render the hair as well. Just showing the different texture as you like it. Now, what else can I say other than remember, like, share, subscribe, and check out my art station in the link below as well. If you've deigned to listen and watch for this long, there I have the rest of my portfolio as well as some prints up for sale if you'd like to support me. We'll see about that. Never mind. So at the end of the day, what you really want to be doing is playing and trying. This is a practice session, and it's an example of me just experimenting with some new brushes, trying to get a feel for them, which means I'm now ready to do different artwork, a proper rendering with these new brushes that I bought. Additionally, there's much to be said for these marker style brushes, as they work quite beautifully when it comes to blending and layering colors over one another, creating really cool, smooth, and three-dimensional imagery and feeling on your objects. As you can see, we're creating very nice curves with regards to the character's hair. Yet it's still that anime style, and the rendering as far as markers are concerned actually looks quite natural, which is loads of fun. So once again, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have fun. Draw with me, draw along, pause as you watch these videos to check out what I'm doing, so that you can gain and develop your own abilities. Yeah, have fun.